Hi and welcome back to my channel. My name is Stacey if you're new here, and today's video is going to be an update of how I'm feeling in the first block of my summer 2026 16-week training phase that I am currently working through, and I have just finished the first 5 weeks of this training block. And I am so excited to start the next training block and to kind of go through all of the things that I feel like I have been doing well and what maybe minor adjustments I might be making going into this next block. So this is going to be block 2 of like 4, I think. Something like that. It might be 3 blocks. I don't remember how I have it broken up, but I am going to insert some clips of the first week of doing this exercise and the last week that I was doing this exercise, and then just talk about how my form and how I'm feeling with those exercises. And I'm gonna focus on step ups, squats, deadlift, and bench. So as far as running goes, my goal has always been to just simply get my runs done. I am not looking at PRs. I am not looking at any type of distance or performance goals. The goal is to finish, because I am still working through the IT band issue, which has mostly become a non-issue, but I do have instances where I have a tiny bit of flares, tiny bit of discomfort, but nothing too crazy. And so throughout this first training block, I have achieved every single run that I had scheduled for myself, except for one. I was behind one, and then I did actually take a week off. I was really busy with work and my mind was not in it, so I just took the time to kind of reset, if you will. I didn't change anything in terms of how I was eating or my activity level, my day-to-day activity. I just kept all of that the same. The next category is core. I am feeling so much stronger in my core, and I could tell when I skipped core many days in a row, because I did feel a little bit weaker in a lot of my exercises. As I talked about with my step-ups, I am feeling so much stronger in my step-ups. I'm not having to pause in the middle of it to regain balance or anything like that. So that definitely is due to strengthening my core and all of that too. But also I am getting a lot more mobility strength and ankle mobility. The stabilizer muscles in around my ankles and my knees and my hip flexors, all of that is improving, and it's definitely because I am doing my mobility and all of that. And I could tell, like my core, if I had skipped several days in a row. I am not currently in a position with my fitness that I can skip those things or do less of it. I do need to build that foundation of strong mobility, strong core, strong stabilizer muscles in order to progress the way I need. And those two things, as well as just getting out and running and completing my runs, is the main goal of this 16-week training phase that I am working through, is to focus on those three things in addition to my strength training and slowly progressing in that. Overall, I am feeling really good. One of my goals is to lose weight. I'm not going to disclose how much and all of that. I'm not going to disclose the exact numbers that I'm looking at when I'm tracking my nutrition, but just know that when I'm tracking my nutrition, I am at a caloric deficit, I'm at a healthy deficit, and I am focusing on macros, fat, carb, protein, and fiber. I'm focusing on those four things in a balanced way. My split is 40% carbs, 40% protein, 20% fat, and then 25 grams of fiber every single day. And I'm close to most of those numbers. I'm not too worried about making it perfect because they will never be perfect. And that's just going way too deep, and I don't feel like thinking that hard about it. So I have what's working for me is I have some set meals that I'm rotating through each week. I have them already preloaded into MyFitnessPal, and I just measure them out every single time that I cook it so that they are close to accurate to what I already have added as a recipe in MyFitnessPal, so it's easy to track. I honestly will not track if I have to literally manually enter every single ingredient every single time. That is what I do, what I have to do, and I have noticed that if I don't track, I do not eat properly. I don't feel great. I also had realized when I began this program. So if you remember the first video at the beginning of this training block, I mentioned I actually calculated my calorie deficit too low. I was feeling so irritable, so hungry, of course, because it was way too low, and so weak. I did not have energy to even do my workouts, and my brain was just foggy, and I noticed this after like 3 days. So I increased my calories, and for that week in particular, I was just focusing on calorie and not the macros, just because of how grocery shopping happened. We just didn't have the proper ingredients to focus on more high protein. And while I was tracking it, I realized, and this was more so the diet that I had been consuming for many months, maybe years. It definitely ended up being much more high fat than anything and quite low in protein, and I could tell because I realized I honestly have not been making any progress for a long time. I have not felt strong. I have not felt like I am fueling my body to actually make improvements in my muscle strength and any of that, and that is one of my biggest goals for longevity, is to have muscle strength, and I need to eat protein in order to do that. So that's why I'm focusing more on a higher protein kind of equal protein, equal carb balance, because carbs are also important. And my body feels good when I have higher carbs and protein. So during that first week, I was not feeling good. So by the end of the second week, I was on the higher protein meals, and literally I just swapped everything that we were eating that had ground beef. I swapped it for chicken, and that made the biggest difference because we were doing 80-20 ground beef, and it just made the meals higher in protein because chicken naturally is higher in protein and lower in fat. So it was just an easy swap. And I just kept the meals. I'm using HelloFresh meals and making sure I still have all of the flavors that those meals are supposed to have. Swapped it with chicken. And then I swapped all of my rice from jasmine rice, which I love the taste of, to brown rice, just for the fact that it has higher fiber content, and I'm working on increasing and maintaining a recommended amount of fiber every day. Back to that second week. By the end of that, I could tell just that week consuming the higher protein made such a difference. Such a difference. Being in my mid-30s, that is something that I will need to focus on for probably the rest of my life. Making sure I have high protein, make sure I am strength training, make sure I am maintaining this routine. It might change and adapt here and there depending on different goals and things that I'm trying to do, but for the most part, I will need to maintain that for the rest of my life if I want to have any type of good mobility and quality of life when I'm old. Because as you age, especially as women, you do lose a certain amount of body or muscle just naturally as you age. And if you're not fueling your body to maintain and work out those muscles, you will lose it. It's literally use it or lose it. And if you're not fueling your body, you'll lose it. That was a huge eye-opener. And like, it's funny because I know these things. I had gotten my certification in personal training and then in nutrition coach. Not a nutritionist by any means, but I'm not using these certifications or anything. I'm not trying to be a personal trainer. I'm a travel agent. That's what I want to do. That's ready to plan a dream vacation? I'm a Dream Vacations travel advisor specializing in cruises, Disney parks, and Universal Studios vacations. Working with a travel advisor allows you to focus on the things that matter, like deciding where to eat or how long you want to spend at the pool during your vacation, not waiting on hold to make any special changes or requests. I will be the one on hold with the cruise line or Disney parks or Universal Studios to make any of those changes or special requests so you don't have to. I take your individual needs, travel style, special occasions, and budget into account to help you plan your dream vacation. As your trip nears, I will send you curated recommendations, tips, and a packing list with a reminder to always pack your sunscreen. Using a travel advisor is completely free, and you get someone in your corner from the planning stages all the way through getting home. Linked in the description box below is my free quote form. Once I receive your form, I will contact you to schedule a video chat to gather any additional details needed to plan your dream vacation, review the quote, and address any questions or concerns you may have. As a free resource to you, I have a travel blog and a monthly newsletter where I share all of my travels and the tips and tricks I have learned along the way. From cruise embarkation day tips to finding a rideshare at LAX, which is more complicated than you would think if you've never been there. Another service I offer is called Video Vacation Memories, where I take all of your photos and videos from your trip and curate a 5 or 10 minute video you can use to remember your trip for years to come. I don't know about you, but for me, if I don't vlog my trips or overly take photos and document it, I don't remember nearly enough of the trip, which is why I decided to offer this video editing service. If you booked your trip with me, you automatically receive a 10% discount, and if you subscribe to my newsletter, you will receive an additional 10% off for a total of 20% off the total vacation video memory service. When you work with me, whether we plan your dream vacation, you watch my YouTube videos, subscribe to my newsletter, or allow me to create your vacation video memories, you are supporting a small business owner. I have 2 YouTube channels, one where I share all of my travel vlogs and travel tips, and another where I share all other parts of my life from day-to-day vlogs to my fitness journey. Everything is linked in the description box below, or you can scan the QR code on screen and we can plan your dream vacation together. That's my job. But it's all things that I knew, but to then have finally experienced it in real life, I'm like, yeah, duh, that makes so much more sense. And I am finally in a spot where I can easily, quickly track the meals. I found some meals I love, some meals that I am willing and able to eat every single day, some that I have to be conscious of and swap out here and there, because I do sometimes have some food aversions. And so I found some tricks where I'm like, don't tell me the order that we're eating the meals in, and then I'll just flip through and go in order. So I have my husband like shuffle the order. So if I already know what I'm eating, I'm like, no, I don't want that anymore. It's weird, but I just have to know that about myself so that I can achieve these goals, and then also remind myself why I am trying to achieve these goals. I am very much happy with the progress that I have made. I have improved my exercises like I talked about already. The biggest win that I feel like I have is my step-ups. And that's such a basic exercise, but I struggled with step-ups like I talked about, and I'm so proud that I am struggling less. I'm able to start adding weight. Eventually I want to, add more weight. So I'm just glad that I'm finally making some progress in all of my exercises that I have been doing. Moving on to the goals for block number 2, and this is going to be a 5-week block. And for running, I just want to continue working on just completion of 2 runs that I have scheduled every single week, just completing those. For mobility and core, need to work on doing this every single day that I'm working out, which should be 6 days, and going through all of the planned circuits of my core workout that I do. I have 2 different circuits. I complete, I think it's like 4 exercises each. I complete 10 reps back to back, repeat 3 times for both circuits. It probably takes me like 10 minutes, to be honest. It's really not that long. And then another 10 minutes for mobility, and that needs to be done every single day, because if I don't, I do notice a difference, and I'm just not in a position yet, like I said, to be able to reduce a little bit of that. I don't know if I will ever be, but right now I am not. I need to make sure those 2 are priority in my strength training right now. And so for strength, I want to complete 4 workouts a week, 2 leg days, 2 upper body days. For squats and deadlifts, my goal is both on the Smith machine. So this weight goal is going to be the added weight. I don't actually know the weight of the bar on the Smith machine. That just sounds way too complicated to figure out. So currently my squats are 40 pounds. I want to get to 70 pounds for squats. This is all in the Smith machine. I think on my next training block, I'm going to move over to the dumbbell, or the barbell, free barbell, not the Smith machine, for my squat and deadlift. And then for deadlift, I want to add 50 pounds. Currently, I am doing, I think, 20, but I don't want to progress too fast just yet, because my hamstrings are the weakest and they need to be a big focus. So I also want to improve endurance. So whether that be adding more reps instead of weight, that kind of thing. I'll kind of decide that week to week. And then for bench, I want to bench 80 pounds. This is with a free barbell. So I am including the bar, which is, my bar is 35 pounds. And then nutrition, I'm doing the same calorie deficit, same macro split, all of that, because it seems to be working and it's not too deep of a deficit that I am suffering in other areas of my life, my workouts, all the things. So yeah, those are all of my goals for this next training block. It's going to be 5 weeks, and it is block number 2 of this summer 2026 16-week program that I am working through, that I made for myself. And yeah, that is pretty much it for this video. If you liked this video and would like to see the rest of my fitness journey, please consider subscribing to this channel. If you like travel vlogs and travel tips, consider subscribing to my other channel, which is always linked in the description box below. And if you'd like to work with me and we can plan your dream vacation together, all of that information will be in the description box, as well as the QR codes on the screen. Thank you so much for watching. I am looking forward to this next training block and to see the progress that I am making from here. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next one. Bye guys.